One day at the Tasty Treat restaurant, Saffron Masala was taking care of things with her father of some new recipes that she had learned from her late mother. Dad, are you sure the customers will like this type of food? Her father like, course they will. They have been taking care of, they have always liked some other food you have done, so why not? Saffron Masala was a little bit nervous of how the customers would like some of her new recipes. But so far, their restaurant had actually gained a lot of popularity and a lot of customers for the past year or two. And it only had been received a lot of positive reviews of the newspapers and tourists and all that. Ever since Pinky and Rarity came to help them, their help had made the restaurant actually more successful as before. And they appreciated all their help. Shortly after the restaurant went open, a customer walked in. Welcome to Tasty Treat. My name is Saffron Masala. I will be your chef and your waitress. And the one who was actually walked in wasn't a pony. It was in fact a griffin. Oh, let me show you your table. And the griffin said, thanks. And the griffin sat down while after a moment, Masala came back with the menu. And it turned out the griffin was actually Gilda. Excuse me, are you the Saffron Masala of Canterlot? Yeah, that's me, and, well, the only one here. And what do you ask? It turned out when Gilda said, oh, by my manners, I'm Gilda of Griffinstone. Wait, you're my pen pal? That's right. It turned out that Gilda and Saffron actually have been pen pals ever since Pinky and Rainbow's visit to Griffinstone. It turned out that ever since then, the Griffinstone has slowly been rebuilt to its former glory, and that Gilda, she wanted to explore some of her new recipes for her business back home. Ever since then, she didn't know exactly what type of recipes she wanted to try. But one day, she saw this an ad in a newspaper back home that actually had some about invitations for as a pen pal service. And so she wrote into it. She was a random selected by a random pony. After about a while, they got to know each other by letters, by telling them about themselves and basically about their hobbies and all that. And Gilda was actually had been encouraged by Saffron to come over to Canterlot as for a visit directly one day. And Gilda was actually quite nervous about it. But now, after being talking for almost about a year, Gilda decided why not to meet up directly. Ah, it's finally to meet you. It's finally nice to meet you though. Same here. Here's the menu, and let me know when you're done. I will. Gilda looked through the menu, and according to her, some of the food looked very interesting. And after a couple of minutes, she chosen a soup, and afterwards, Saffron came back with the soup, but since there was no other customers, Saffron decided to sit down next to Gilda and have a conversation. And since her father was actually okay with it, and they just talked about some things that they have been talked about before in the letters. But it was one thing that they actually had a very strong connection to: cooking and baking. Saffron mentioned that it was actually her mother who got her into the passion of cooking and baking when she was a little filly. And Gilda mentioned it was actually her parents that, well, at least one of her family members that actually was doing kind of a baking, and that sparked an interest in her. Saffron asked if Gilda would take her business somewhere else and perhaps open her own store or maybe a restaurant or maybe a bakery. Gilda said that she actually had a thought of maybe open a bakery or maybe a restaurant or maybe working at a restaurant, but she wasn't really sure exactly where though, but she was a bit nervous about it. Afterwards, a few more customers walked in, and as always, Saffron said that she will be back when after she take care of the customers. Afterwards, after about maybe half an hour, Gilda said that she will leave, but she will be staying in town for a couple of days if Saffron wants to spend some more time, get to know each other more directly. Which Saffron said yes. With the next couple of days, Saffron and Gilda spent a lot more time. They were mostly after Saffron's shift was over at the restaurant. They were just having mostly conversations like what their common interests and something like that. But after a while, Gilda had to go back to Griffinstone. But they both remained in contact by letters as before. After some time, Gilda was actually back home in Griffinstone and taking care of her business. But it was something about her on her mind. It was Saffron. After meeting Saffron Masala directly in person, she was actually quite amazed how beautiful Saffron were and how her personality was didn't match exactly what's in the letters, but it was beyond that. And knowing how the skills of her cooking and baking was even more better than her own. But anyways, she was really just happy to have met Saffron directly in person now. One day, Gilda wanted to go see her old friend Rainbow Dash back in Ponyville, so she wrote her a letter to informing that she is coming over. Rainbow responded back by a letter to saying that she is always welcome to see her at any time. When Gilda came over to Ponyville, Rainbow was always happy to see her. So, Gilda, what is it that you want to tell me that was something you want to talk about? In the letter, Gilda did mention there was something personal that she wanted to ask and to talk about. Well, you see, Rainbow, this is maybe a little bit hard to explain, but you know about my pen pal Saffron Masala, right? Yeah, I know about her, and yeah, what about it? Said Rainbow. Well, I kinda actually have a crush on her, and I did actually meet her directly not that long ago. Wait, what? You met her and you even told her? Well, but Rainbow, listen. It was before I even realized that I actually even had any feelings for her. Oh, so you have no idea how much she looked like? No, I didn't know. I mean, after I met her first, she was a beautiful, and I don't know what to do. What do you mean? I mean, she's a pony, I'm a griffin. Do you think that was actually gonna work? Well, I mean, it's not unlike it wouldn't work. I mean, a mixed species relationship is uncommon. I mean, but it can work. Oh, really? How do you think that? Said Gilda almost in a bit an angry tone. You know Spike and my friend Rarity? Yeah, the dragon, the unicorn? What about him? They were actually dating. Wait, really? Yeah, they've been dating for about 2, 3 years now. Ah, okay, that's at least something. Yeah, and you can actually try it yourself. So, what is you want to do? Do you want to be with her? I suppose so, but I just don't know what to say. I mean, I never actually been in a formal relationship before. You, Gilda, the fastest, strongest, and loyal griffin, never been in a relationship? Hey, don't stretch it out like that. I'm just kidding, Gilda. But I'm surprised that you never actually been in a relationship. Well, can you consider my type, my kind, has been greedy for money? Yeah, you had a good point. But my advice is to you, take a good listen to your heart. And listen to your heart and listen to your feelings. Embrace them. Listen what they want to tell you. Wait, how did you become such romantic? Said Gilda. Well, that goes when you were dating one of the Wonderballs. Wait, let me guess. Soren? Bingo. Well, I can give it a try. Think though. After about a while, Soren... Gilda! She thought about this. And next time when she went back to Canterlot to spend time with Saffron Masala, she decided to confess her feelings for her. When Saffron actually met up Gilda at the park after her work shift was over, they gave each other a hug, and they did small talking, and Gilda then actually confessed her feelings towards Saffron Masala. At first, it was a big silence. Gilda took that as a bad sign, and was about to leave when Saffron actually said something. Took long enough. Wait, what? You knew? Well, I kinda had a feeling about it, said Saffron with a big smile. I understand I like you the same way, too, said Saffron. Honestly? I do. Well, I mean, this is really something I really had hoping for. So Saffron and Gilda sat there, talk about more about their feelings for each other, until they decided to go out on a date. The same evening, they actually went to a restaurant to have something to eat. And from that moment, they decided to try the dating, for at least for long term, or for even it's going to be a long distance. Of course, when Saffron Masala's father found out, he was a little bit taken aback that his daughter is dating a griffin. A female griffin, mobile. But he was just happy to see his daughter so happy with somebody else. After their first few dates, while Gilda was in Canterlot, they were actually quite happy to realize they were clearly made for each other. After a long time, though, they decided to make it official. But despite the fact that they lived so across the country, and that Gilda lived in Griffithstone, and that Masala lives in Canterlot, they wouldn't be able to see each other so often. But they didn't care, as long as they were happy. But after considering a lot of things happened, after about almost a year, Saffron actually informed Gilda that they had a spot opened at the restaurant, since her father herself had decided to hire some more ponies and add some on the staff. And since Gilda was actually a skilled cook herself, she thought, why not be able to work at the Tasty Treat restaurant? But there was only one small issue. Gilda was living in Griffithstone, and not in Canterlot. She couldn't go back and forward so often. But Griffithstone was something place that Gilda was willing to leave in order to pursue her future with the pony that she loved the most. After Saffron's father actually approved of Gilda's application to work there, Gilda was actually provided with a small home near the restaurant. Saffron actually provided that. She found a small apartment for Gilda, and she was able to pay the rent for the first 2 months, which Gilda was quite surprised that she did, but she was just happy about it. She promised to keep the rent paid of herself. Shortly afterwards, Gilda moved to Canterlot. She would be the first griffin to live in a major pony city. This relationship status between Saffron and Gilda wasn't actually, at the time, was well common news, because after they shortly became as official couple, their relation status actually became public news, and the public was actually happy to see another mixed species couple. After that, Gilda started working at the restaurant. It was actually not bad. Well, at first, Gilda had a little bit of difficulties, but she actually had a good time. Even Gilda was actually saying very much in a good terms with Saffron Masala's father. But there was only one incident that was nearly that Gilda lost her temper and even quit. There was one customer, a stallion, with his two friends that was waiting for food when Gilda was the one to serve them with some of the drinks and the food. And Gilda, when she was wearing another plate of some food to another table, that stallion tripped her. And he's like, "Oh, the griffin can't walk right. Learn to walk right, you griffin." He laughed. She stood up and said, "You tripped me." "No, I didn't." "Yes, you did," she said angrily. "Guys, did you see me do that?" "Yeah, we did." And both his friends actually confronted him to not doing that. "Whoa, and I thought you were my friends." And the stallion just stood up and just left the restaurant. And they said to Gilda, "We're sorry about him. He's a former friend. We will pay for the food as for the others. I hope that doesn't hurt any much." Gilda was explained about that, and she accepted the apology and said they are still welcome back, but that stallion was not allowed back. And in fact, that was the only time she even saw the stallion, which good thing for her though. Saffron Masala and her father actually had a discussion about what happened with Gilda after the restaurant closed for the day. But they were just happy that the thing didn't escalate to even further away. But they were just happy it didn't go any further from that. After they've been dating for about almost 4 years, Gilda and Saffron Masala's relationship status has always been a good thing. They only made their relationship stronger and stronger for each single day. In fact, they never had any fights at all. Maybe small arguments, but never much of any fights. But after being together for 4 years, Gilda decided she was ready to take the next step of being dating. They decided to have a small close wedding with close friends and family. Gilda had asked Rainbow to be her maid of honor, and Saffron had asked Pinky to be her maid of honor, and that Rarity one to be the one to make the dresses, which she accepted. It was just a beautiful wedding. They even had a small gatherings afterwards. Later, they actually went to Saudi Arabia for 2 weeks for a honeymoon. It was a good time for them there, since Saffron Masala was actually from Saudi Arabia, so she had she told her all kinds of things. After 3 years of being married, Gilda and Saffron wanted to start a family. They asked Twilight if she could help them, which she was willing to do. Saffron decided she wanted to be pregnant, and they later learned they were going to have a daughter. They were quite excited about it. And then the day came when the daughter was born. They named the daughter Durian Soup. Durian Soup was like her mother. She was very passionate about cooking and baking. In fact, she wanted to help around at the restaurant Tasty Treat when she was older. She wanted to be a chef, or at least a cook. And when she was old enough, around 15 or 16, she actually worked as a part-time job at the family restaurant. And when she was older, she actually took over the restaurant from her mom and her grandfather. She even married a stallion, and they even had 3 daughters of their own. Saffron was really happy to be with some pony like Gilda. After all, Gilda was always been there for her. She is fast, loyal, and strong. In fact, another thing is, Saffron actually hadn't even imagined how her life would have been if she never actually fell in love with Gilda. And even Gilda herself, she's just quite happy that she would end up being with Saffron. The relationship between Gilda and Saffron only grows stronger for each single day. And this is how Gilda and Saffron Masala found their true love and got a family together. The end.